In the mid-1970s, the world's largest democracy suddenly ground to a halt. Constitutional norms were suspended, civil liberties were frozen, and the machinery of the state turned against its own people in a period known as the emergency. Prime Minister Indira Gandhi directed this sweeping crackdown. Under her authority, the executive branch rapidly centralized control, bypassing the usual checks and balances that kept the government accountable to the public. Simultaneously, the government launched an aggressive legislative offensive. In 1976, Parliament rammed through the sweeping 42nd Amendment Act. This legislation was a structural rewrite. It was designed to permanently alter the balance of power in favor of the government, removing boundaries that constrained the state's authority. Lawmakers inserted clauses 4 and 5 into Article 368 of the Constitution. These clauses removed all legal boundaries on what Parliament could do, explicitly stating there would be no limitation whatever on the government's amending power. At the same time, Section 4 of the amendment legally subordinated individual fundamental rights, the core protections guaranteed to every citizen, placing them underneath the directive principles of the state. This created a dangerous paradox. If a group of lawmakers can vote to make their own authority absolute, they can legally erase the concept of individual liberty. The system could legally destroy itself. In 1980, the Supreme Court of India intervened. The case was Minerva Mills Limited v. Union of India, and it forced the court to examine the severe overreach of the 42nd Amendment. This blueprint illustrates the court's guiding philosophy, the basic structure doctrine. Relying on years of legal precedent, the justices argued that the Constitution has an unalterable core, a legal bedrock that holds the entire nation together. Under this doctrine, Parliament is allowed to renovate the House. They can add rooms, change the laws, or paint the walls to suit the times. But they are strictly forbidden from taking a sledgehammer to that load-bearing foundation. The justices had one primary objective: to determine if the 42nd Amendment was an illegal attempt to dynamite that foundation entirely. Chief Justice Y.V. Chandrachud tackled the issue of clauses 4 and 5 by exposing the severe logical flaw in the government's reasoning. As this logic model shows, the Constitution originally granted Parliament only a limited power to amend it. The small circle of legislative authority cannot logically swallow the massive circle of the Constitution that created it. Chandrachud laid out a defining legal proof. The donee of a limited power cannot exercise that exact same limited power to convert it into an unlimited one. As a result, the court unanimously struck down clauses 4 and 5, declaring them completely unconstitutional. Then, by a sweeping 4-1 verdict, the court struck down Section 4 as well, rejecting the idea that state power could legally override individual fundamental rights. The ruling established a permanent legal boundary. It clarified that while elected officials have the power to amend a democracy, they do not have the power to destroy it. The Minerva Mills decision immediately restored the legal safeguards protecting the daily lives of Indian citizens. Chief Justice Chandrachud centered this protection around 3 specific articles, forming the golden triangle of the Constitution. Articles 14, 19, and 21 act as a unified defense. Together, they guarantee equality before the law, fundamental personal liberties, and the absolute right to life. Chandrachud wrote that these 3 articles alone stand between the heaven of freedom and the abyss of unrestrained power. Without this golden triangle, the dignity of the individual is left entirely vulnerable to government emasculation. The golden triangle only survived because the court successfully blocked the 42nd Amendment's blatant attempt to consolidate absolute power. The enduring legacy of Minerva Mills is a structural safeguard. No future parliament, regardless of how large its majority might be, can legally legislate away its own boundaries. The emergency era proved how quickly democratic norms collapse under unchecked ambition. It also demonstrated that a genuinely independent judiciary is required to push back against it. The ultimate defense against autocracy is an indestructible legal foundation, a structure that prevents temporary lawmakers from rewriting the permanent rules of freedom.